What you are watching is the only performance this actress ever put to film. The director, Carl Theodor Dreyer, saw her performing on stage in a theater and talked her into playing the lead role. This is widely considered the greatest acting performance ever recorded. The actress of discussion is Renee Falconetti, and the film is The Passion of Joan of Arc. It is irrefutable that there is something revelatory behind Falconetti's eyes. Upon viewing, you will realize that it is more than a reflection of the script or the character therein. There is something raw and personal that comes from within the actress, and it adds so much to the film. Her eyes, mannerisms, and overall demeanor reflect an involuntary human terror. If you're unfamiliar, Joan of Arc was a female soldier in the war between the French and English on the side of the former. She was captured by the English, tortured, and tried for heresy on the account of her saying that she saw and spoke to God and a saint. Dreyer could have had a role in the shrewdness of her performance, as he was known to be Kubrickian in his direction of his actors. Not only that, but he decided to have the actors wear not a single bit of makeup, which was the thing that no director ordered in that era. It was considered a necessity, but due to the change, we can see the natural imperfections on the actors' faces. This is especially evident in the Bishop character, who was a man in his mid to late 70s at the time of filming. And due to the nature of his character, the lines he's given, and the ferocity of his performance, it's easy to see why this decision was made. The other parts of production are fantastic. The sets, costumes, and props all feel real, allowing us to immerse ourselves in the film. The interior of the church, the streets of the town, the armor on the guards, the robes on the judges, bishop, and priests, it's all phenomenal. This character in particular has his hair styled in a manner that suggests the horns of the devil, which makes sense in the context of the movie. The best way I can describe the visual style of the film is that it's an outlier in the context of this era. As I mentioned earlier, most of the movies that were released in this time period took a lot of influence from theater, so there were a lot of long takes and wides, treating sets as stages. There were of course other exceptions. Some were more elaborate than others, but this was mostly the trend. In the 40s, 50s, and 60s, there was an in-between period, as each shot would typically last 1 to 2 minutes. But this film has maybe 2 wides in its entirety, one of which is a laterally moving shot. There's a lot of more complex psychology in this film when it comes to shot composition, that of which has been written about and elaborated upon in various essays by others. You can see how we are purposely disoriented by the close-ups to feel overwhelmed by the presence of the judges and priests, the same feeling that Joan feels. At the end of the film, when Joan is being burned at the stake, there's a vignette present on the edges of the screen. I'm not sure if this was intentional or not, but there seems to be a psychology behind its presence. As we see the smoke crowd Joan and fill her lungs, the frame becomes more narrow, the vignette pulsing and closing in on her figure as the flames grow higher and the smoke grows thicker. Falconetti continues her strong performance in this scene. After the filming was finished, the reel of the footage that Dreyer wanted to use was destroyed, and so he was forced to use rejected footage to maintain the film's existence. This is actually insane, as nearly a century later, it is being hailed as a masterpiece, despite this hassle. There is a deeper tragedy linked to this film, more specifically Renee Falconetti. The Second World War arrived upon this film's release, or soon after it, and so Renee Falconetti was forced to flee France. After arriving in Argentina, her mental health issues came over her and she passed away from starvation. This was something that she had been dealing with for a very long time, even while performing. But it simply became too much for her to bear. Her death is tragic, but it is most important to recognize what she left behind as an actress. Perhaps the greatest performance ever recorded on film.